Perfect. Okay, here we are. Thank you so much for the introduction. And I'm very pleased to be here. And if there are any questions after the talk, definitely get in touch with me also during the time when you look at all of the projects, which I'm very happy to be known all the people that are exhibiting work here, and definitely get up from your chairs and look at them because they're awesome. So basically, the book is again available. It was just reprinted. So we are actually today talking about the social aspects of fashionable wearables. That was one of the big issues that was raised by V2 and also the Denk Cafe to really tackle those issues that we haven't really talked about. And in the first notes that I received, we were talking about mostly communication aspects that have to do with privacy, the issue of always on, being ubiquitous, also the issues of proximity, of distance, and so forth. And to me, these are typical communication aspects. These are aspects that have to do with mobile media, not necessarily with fashionable technology. They're just one of the aspects. When we are dealing with fashionable technology, I think it's all the issues around and the aspects around the body are very interesting to tackle, very interesting to understand their media context, understand the social context, and understand the context within our environment and our society. So I'm differentiating between two aspects: the body around, the aspects around our body, and the aspects around our environment. So the body is health issues, for example. What do all the science, all the technology, all the new materials that we work with our health, due to our health. So I think that is an issue that, to me, is also very much a social issue that we need to discuss even further. And what I'm doing with this talk, I am just throwing out a lot of ideas because I was given only 15 minutes. So I'm just going to throw out a lot of stuff. So don't expect me to explain everything because that's taking days. The other thing, of course, is what are we doing with our body? How we actually perceive our body? How is our body extended, in particular when we deal with the issues of wearability, the issues of attaching certain elements to our garments, making them interactive, blowing them up, making them larger, also integrating different elements into our garments, but then maybe also even into our body. So that the issues of the degree of body integration is something that is also a social aspect. Where does a tutu and where does an implant actually deal with fashionable technology? Where does it end? So again, this is an issue that I think is something that we need to deal with. Very much the perception of an interactive garment. What is an interactive garment? How is somebody perceived to wear an interactive garment? If I'm thinking about Teresa Almeida's project, a garment that actually blows up in the subway, if somebody comes too close to you, how is that garment being perceived by somebody who actually stands next to you when your garment is suddenly blowing up? Or how do you feel, if you can't really control that? Or are you able to control that? That's, again, a thing that has a lot to do with perception and with the ability to be able to understand the social meaning of interactive garments. Very important to me are the aspects around the environment, in particular the aspects around sustainability and recyclability, because we're dealing with a lot of technology, we're dealing with a lot of scientific materials, and with a lot of electronically enhanced textiles that yet their environmental impact has yet to be researched. So again, there's a lot of interesting social aspects, and I feel there are social aspects that, again, need to be discussed here and need to be analyzed. Also here, we're talking about alternative energies, for example, the possibility to actually harvest energy instead of just using up the energy that we actually generate. So we constantly wear something, we generate energy, and how do we actually are able to transfer that energy? There's a lot of research done in that, and we're not there yet and so forth, but the more we talk about it and the more it becomes ubiquitous for us to think about these ideas, the more it actually will be integrated into our garments. So basically, as Esther said before, I run a company called Moondal, and over the course of the last year, we actually blew up. So I think this is becoming a very interesting topic. And the 3 design mantras that we have is everything we want to create has to have a modularity to it, so we can actually take things apart for various reasons. And again, if you want to know more about that, you need to speak to me directly. Sustainability, creating really sustainable design, and that's everything from the actual product that we're using to the actual process. So it's 2 things. It's not just the product itself, but it's also the process, which is very often forgotten. And the ability to then recycle. So that is, again, an issue that needs to be really, really looked in very closely. Yes, if we have a component, an electrical component that can be taken apart, okay, but what about materials that are scientifically enhanced and thus cannot be really recycled the way we actually think of recycling right now? So basically, this is an old quote, and I'm using it all the time. It's really just to give you a framework, a context. I'm referring to this quote by Marshall McLuhan, who is in his publication Understanding Media, which most of you probably know anyway, from the 60s already, saying the electric age ushers us into a world in which we'll live and breathe and listen with the entire epidermis. And I think that is actually something that we'll live and breathe, and we find very appealing and still applicable to our work. And so what are fashionable wearables? I just really want to give you a framework here, what we as Moondal, but also in my research and in the book, Fashionable Technology, I refer to fashionable wearables as designed garments and accessories and jewelry. So really like a compilation of the 3, not just garments themselves. And they need, as Esther said before, combine the aesthetic and functional technology. That's extremely important for fashionable wearables. So I'm just going to throw out a bunch of projects. I don't know, how much time do I have left? I don't. Okay. Okay, so just a quick browse through, okay? This is like a slideshow, okay? So I'm not talking anymore. Stay Connected Proximity, a project by Jane Wallace, and this is called Blossom. It's a couple of years old, and what this basically does is it's a project. You have a rain sensor in Cyprus, and you have this jewelry in your hands, and when it rains in Cyprus, the jewelry blooms, okay? All right, next one. Dream Jammies, okay, by Alex Rader. He just finished up ITP in New York. This is a project where you basically have your iPhone and you have your boyfriend lying in bed, and you know the hotter he becomes, the redder your screen becomes, and if you want to shake it up, then basically you tickle him. Okay, so proximity here. The Honeycomb by Corey Mancha, again, it's a project that just came out from ITP. He did it last semester. It's a project where his wife became a baby, and he wanted to be, feeling it every time the baby kicks, even when he's away. So every time the baby kicks, he gets a Twitter message. Social interaction. Okay, telepresence. This is a project by James and Jimmy, and basically you wear this helmet and you're completely removed from the actual real physical space you are, but you live in your virtual world, basically. So it's like the social interaction between somebody else who's sitting on the bench is totally impossible. You live in your own little world. I'm sure most of you do. And then the talking heads. This is actually a student project of mine, and I've been showing this a few times because it's just too funny. And this is a project where Dunja actually was saying she's very shy. She's from from Croatia, and she's walking down the streets in New York, and she really likes hot guys. And so when she walks down the streets and there's a hot guy, she's really scared to talk to them. But you know, what if the hat talks to them? So basically she makes those little toggles so the hat is talking to the guys. And I told her that it's not for shy people. All right, and the last thing is sustainability. That's an issue that, like I said, it's a social issue I'm really, really keen about. This is a project by Elena Cochera. It's also a project that's a couple of years old, and she's using, in a very, very wonderful way, just regular solar panels to harvest solar energy and to light up this object, and basically really understands and makes it wonderful to use technology and use the limitations of the aesthetics of a technology to actually integrate and make a beautiful piece. Biology. Okay, I think this is the last one. This is actually a project that came out of MIT. It's called a biosuit from 2000, and basically what it does is it's mimicking the second skin. It's really thinking about what if I go to space. You have basically your inner layer that you can potentially spray on. You have a layer that the textile is actually counter-pressuring. Then you still have your helmet basically that helps you to breathe and really dealing with biology and with nanotechnology and so forth. So this is all about, you know, this should raise the question of how far can we go with using biology to enhance our possibilities. And then this is really the last project. Okay, this is not, okay, I was going very fast now, so if you have questions, you can ask. Social code, and this is a project by Mahir and Ebro, and the reason why I put it in here, it's also a couple of years old, is that through the code they actually gather from the internet. These are quotes. This is information gathered from information about educational resources and military resources in Turkey. And then this information is statically transferred and knitted onto those, or knitted into those t-shirts or sweatshirts. And thus you basically have a social code, you have a social statement that is then automatically transferred onto your garment, and you basically wear it. Okay, that's it.